Welcome.
Welcome to the Everything Podcast. I am your host, Chuck Manity. And in today's episode, we're going to be covering Love, Death and Robots Season 1, Episode 11, which is called Helping Hand. It aired on March 15th, 2019 and has a runtime of 10 minutes. The IMDb rating is not too bad. It's 7.4 out of 10 with 16,000 reviews. So the synopsis is, stranded in orbit, an astronaut must choose between life and limb before her oxygen runs out. So the directors are Gabriella Piniccioli and John Yeo. The writers were Claudine Griggs and Philip Gillette, as well as Tim Miller. The stars of this episode, the voice actors, are Ellie Condren as Alexandria and Christopher Lee Parson as Bill. So just some interesting trivia. So the satellite docked at in this episode by Alexandria is referred to as LV-256. In alien lore, LV-426 is the designation of a moon known as Acheron, of a planet in the Zeta Reticuli system, where the crew of the Nostromo discovers a colony of xenomorphs. Alexandria also called her computer jockey Mother. Mother was the name used to refer to Muthr, which is M-U-T-H-R, the AI computer system on the Nostromo. So that's obviously referring to aliens with Sigourney Weaver. So that's quite nice. So, without any further ado, let's get into the review. So, just my thoughts on it before we start. I like this episode. It obviously just shows the sort of survival instincts that humans have, and it's an interesting it's always an interesting story to see a person survive and what they would actually do to survive. So, the show opens with the Netflix logo as well as the title sequence. You get an opening shot of a sun of some sort, and then it pans down to where you see what looks like Earth. And then you see a space station with a little mini yellow ship on its way to said space station. So Alexandria is on the radio with her colleague Bill, and he's telling her, or she says that being on solo missions really creeps her out, because obviously there's no one there to back her up if something were to go wrong. And you see her gearing up in a spacesuit, and you hear that Bill tells her to be careful with what she's going to be doing. The little yellow ship that she's in says orbital maintenance on it, so she is doing maintenance on space stations and so on and so forth. From inside the suit, on the helmet, you see the side of her face, but on the front of it, you see it says oxygen 35,000, or it started off at 36,000, and it ticks down to show you how much oxygen you have in the suit. Alex then makes her way from the little yellow orbital spaceship, and she makes her way to the space station, where she pulls out her tools and starts fixing the space station. You get really cool shots of Earth, and a few other things. You see there is some garbage in space, and on what is making its way to her at this point is a little screw with a sharp point on the front of it. The little screw is flying through space and then hits her on the back of her spacesuit, damaging the spacesuit and almost knocking her off of the space station. So the stabilizer on her suit has been damaged because she tries to use it, and it says on her wrist that it is malfunctioned. She is no longer on the space satellite, and the backup mobility unit also is malfunctioned. So at this point she's just floating away from the satellite with no way to get back, because the suit has zero way of sending her in the right direction. Bill asks Alex if everything's okay, and then she says no, because the suit has malfunctioned. Bill says that a rescue team is on its way and they'll be by her in 58 minutes. The oxygen tank on the front of her helmet has said that she has 14 minutes and 9 seconds left. So the 58 minutes that the team will take to get to her will definitely not be enough. She'll run out of oxygen long before that. You get a few establishing shots with her just floating in space. No dialogue, nothing's going on at this point. And it just gives you a very, very good indication of how intensely terrifying it must be just to be floating in the middle of space, knowing you're probably going to die. The timer of oxygen has now just popped past the 2-minute mark. It has just gone under 2 minutes, where she sees it on her screen on her helmet. Alex takes the watch from her system and then looks at her hand, so she's obviously come up with some sort of plan. She then ties it on her bicep and makes it extremely tight on the suit. Alex removes the part from her forearm of the suit, so that's why she tied it just above where the suit can unlock, which is just about by the elbow forearm side. And then she removes it, and as she's removing it, she's screaming in excruciating pain, because obviously it is absolutely freezing in space and it's freezing her arm. She takes that part of the suit, waits for the optimal moment, and then she throws the glove part of the suit away, and so it sends her on a trajectory back to the satellite. She just misses grabbing onto the satellite, and from the trajectory it looks like she's going to maybe be able to make it onto that little maintenance ship. So with that slight hope, you realize very quickly that she's not going to make it, and she's going past the station as well as the ship. She then looks at her arm, which is frozen, where she knows that if she has any chance of survival, because her oxygen is now depleted, she's going to have to break her arm off. I would not recommend watching this if you have a sensitive sensibility of any kind. It is pretty gnarly that she has to basically take her own arm off. She then throws her arm to create a trajectory towards the spaceship, but it sends her in a bit of a spiral, so she's spinning up and down. It's very difficult, obviously, with the lack of oxygen now that she has, and spinning basically towards the spaceship. She has literally one chance to grab onto it. At this point, it looks like she's going to miss it, and it cuts to black, and after that you get a shot coming within the small spaceship, and it's going towards the seat, and just before the seat you see her pop out, making contact with Jockey Mother. So Bill makes contact with her on the radio, asks if she is okay. She said that she had to make a wee little sacrifice to the great beyond, and then Bill, without knowing what's actually happened, asked her if she could use a hand, and she says, well, about that. So she tells Bill that he needs to get a few beers ready because she's on her way home, and then you see the spaceship flying towards Earth, but just in front of the whole shot, so of the satellite and the ship on its way back to Earth, you see the hand busy floating through space. And that is how it ends. So yes, absolute crazy survival story. It's definitely a good one. I enjoyed it. It's terrifying as well as enjoyable, because it's the fact I'd hate to be out in space by myself with no way to survive or minimal way to survive, and to have to go through something like that. You can only imagine. It must be absolutely haunting. But yeah, that was it for this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please do let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the review today, then please also put that in the comments below. Some things to look forward to. Ben has quite a big lineup, which you can go and check out on his last review. You can see exactly what he has in the pipeline. But that is it for today's episode. And if you did enjoy it, please do show us some love by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Other than that, we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.